Well, good to see you guys. I'm Sandy Hibbard, and I am CEO of Sandy Hibbard Creative. So I invited Marc to come over, and we're going to do kind of a wrap of 2025 on everything real estate. And then we're going to look at some projections for 2026. There's so much going on in our world and our lives that if you're in the real estate sector, it can get a little scary, whether you're a lender or a realtor or opening a new title office like Marc and Secured Title has just done. We need some security and we need some assurances that things are going to be as strong as what we've become used to here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. So, with no further ado, hey. Marc. It's so good to see you.
I don't know if I know everything in real estate, but I certainly see everything in real estate.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's been crazy. So that's what I want to dive in, and I want to hear everything that's going on with Secured Title of Texas. I know that hint hint there is a new office opening somewhere in Flower Mound, and great space there. But this place is booming.
Oh yeah.
Let's jump in, and I'd like to just talk about Secured Title.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest question that I have is, what makes you guys as strong as you are? I feel like sometimes you're just this smaller boutique company hanging out there. What's the power behind Secured Title?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One, through the last, let's just say 3 years, because it's been that long since I've opened an office, I just decided to keep my powder dry, focus organically on the locations we had and the clientele, and really pour into the service side and being very target specific about the type of business that we wanted to try to onboard to our existing teams.
Yeah.
We also were blessed, and this is what's one of the unusual markets for title agencies, is we're blessed to have about 50% of our business in commercial. So when you have what I would call diversity, you're not just being driven by what happens in residential sales.
Right. I mean, I can remember last year, many times we sat at this table that you would give your report on the month and it was commercial that led the way.
Right. So we've had just an unbelievable year in commercial, probably the best year we've had in commercial. We've had, as a company, the best year I've had since I've been here, which I celebrated my 5th year.
Wow.
Was secured in August.
Yeah.
So we're about to, and we're having a really good closing month in December, which will be some large commercial deals. So we're going to wrap up with probably what will be the best year that we've had. But I think it was the combination of the commercial. We had the residential resale market we've always targeted, but we've also done a great job through Autumn Bain, who runs my Frisco office and is also Senior VP and Escrow Operations
She
Manager.
closed my home.
Yep. Autumn has really expanded the investor platform. And that's
awesome.
And that's an evolution in itself, because what's happening in this week, last week I had 2 meetings with substantial players in the market that are doing build to rent or buying to rent, and they're building portfolios.
Wow.
Well, what happens with that is they've got a huge amount of capital. They don't really care what the interest rate is, because they're buying all cash. And so they're taking advantage of the increase in inventory that's out in the marketplace, the lowering of sales, the volatility up and down of the interest rate environment. None of that matters to them. They're just after the inventory, and they're buying at nice price points as well. It's not a $50,000 flip type transaction. So when you look at it and say, we've got investor business, we've got the residential resale business, we've got the commercial business, and then we're finally seeing in the last 30 to 60 days, the first presentation of refinance business. So that, and I think we're going to see
that time is coming.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of that. Now, what are those circumstances? Well, it's not, if they were sitting in a 3% mortgage and they got to refinance now to a 6. Why are they doing that? And that's the refinance cash out. People are needing to reach in and grab equity to help them sustain them through the period of time while the economy is going through its recovery state that it's in right now. So we've got when you look at us, and although we're boutique, but you look across those different channels, then I sort of have this ability to balance and rebalance every month. Because one may be very strong, maybe be average, and this one be really good. But on the whole, it results in the revenue.
Does the multiple offices help in that?
It does
strategy?
for when you're strategically to the resale market. You still have to be in those markets to go after that business. If you're dealing with investor, they don't care where you're located. If you're
Right.
dealing with commercial, they don't care where you're located. So commercial is located at our corporate office in Plano. Andy Phillips runs that operation for us, and then our corporate staff is down on the first floor of that same location. So I think that to answer the question, I think we've lifted where others are struggling because we have that diversity of business that's coming into our company.
And does being privately held have anything to do with that? Your flexibility,
Yeah.
your ability to react to the market?
Yes, yeah,
I would think
it's
so.
significant. Thankfully, our holding company, which is Title Midwest, is based in Topeka, Kansas. We're in a total of 8 states now as the whole company, which is a run rate of about a $100 million company, almost 500 employees.
Wow.
To the total base. Everyone's doing extremely well, so we've got a lot of capital locked up. So we continue to try to look for deals to buy, but in light of that, we don't find anything, then we make choices like I made. Let's expand now, and my focus is to sort of go west. So west is now being toward Flower Mound, which we've entered, and then eventually focusing toward Fort Worth as well, because Fort Worth is blowing up just like Dallas is.
Yeah.
So it's more opportunistic rather than it is I need to be right here. But my ability to move my ability to manage this operation is because of the entrepreneurial environment that you have with privately held, family-owned business. I'm not dealing with the corporate side, which dictates what I'm to look like in a branch and where I can expand to, and all the matrix that they have to meet in order to expand. I don't have any of
I
that.
can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, because you've been on both sides.
Yes, I have.
And so you know the difference in being privately
yeah.
held, that you have more control.
Yep.
You can
And-
react more to a market that's volatile,
Right.
like real estate.
Right, and I think the final thing you get with that, privately held versus the large, I'll call it underwriter, is that the culture is important. And you can drive a culture in that environment and create a culture within your own operation, following the basically footprint of what the corporate culture is.
Yeah.
So we care about our employees. We focus heavily on our employee benefits and their well-being, and I think that's equally paid for retention side, because the thing that happens is the better you are doing, the more someone else is trying to either pick off your client or pick off your employee.
Exactly.
So we really focus on, and I focus on, and that's why I like boutique where we are, because I can focus on also my relationship to the employee.
Yeah.
And the employee's future and their career paths as well. I know all my employees well, and some of my longest tenured employees are now 10 plus years that are in the company. So
I mean, you guys are like a family over there.
We
but-
are,
But
yeah.
and talking of employees and your team, it brings me to the question, why Flower Mound? And I know that you have brought over some key players to Flower Mound.
Right.
So how does that work? How do you choose who goes to these areas? Because I know you're not just hiring new escrow officers. So tell me about the move to Flower Mound and why, and what kind of team are you bringing up there to that market?
Well, it was opportunistic. I went off the heels of a company that well known in the market, Texas Premier Title, that was dissolving. They didn't need to. They were owned by Ebby Halliday, which is owned by HSA, and
Right.
And very well capitalized. They just didn't have the local leadership once the president retired, and so it started declining, and they just decided to exit. Well, I focused on teams out there, and one of those teams was in the Flower Mound marketplace, and so I was able to get Jackie Hodgkins out of that operation to be our
Awesome.
stake in the ground.
Okay.
And then Geneva Balch, who runs the branch, was with me in Plano, but she had worked with Texas Premier before. So what we were trying to do is look at what's our stake in the ground for business, and Ebby Halliday was that stake in the ground. And then if we could land with that, then we would start doing what we do to begin to build our name in the
Did
marketplace.
you buy that office?
No, we didn't have to,
Okay,
because
good.
they were winding down. I tried to buy the whole company.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't visualize that, and they were more focused on the wind down.
Right.
So and it was unfortunate because they had about 30-something employees at the
Right.
time when they
So you
shut
just
it down.
opened an operation
So I just
there.
opened an operation there to that side. So now also, and years ago when I launched Capital Title,
Yep.
I went into the flower mound market. So I was familiar with the flower mound market, and there's
So you look at all of that. I mean,
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
you
you have
look
to
at-
say, because basically I got to go into a market and say, okay, minimally I need to generate 20 contracts a month.
Yeah.
Just to
Is
kind
the
of
market
baseline.
popping enough to be able to do
Yeah,
that?
and then but the other thing I discovered that was interesting is that if you're in flower mound, it's just not the flower mound market, it's all the surrounding markets
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to flower mound.
Yeah.
Up to Highland Village, Denton's
yeah.
not out of range, Argyle, South Lake, a little bit out of Irving even, believe it or not, where you've got these agents that might office there, but they're selling in multiple locations. And they, as it is turning out, they're also selling across lines into Collin County. So we're picking up transactions in our Plano office that Geneva's managing through that being centralized there. So it just, rather than just go, okay, throw a dart and let's see where we want to go, we had at least a familiarity. And then Parker Square, where we landed,
Yeah.
it's
Great
been
area.
a long time retail recognized location. We've got a great location, first floor. There's small buildings collectively there, so it's got a lot of energy. There's other real estate companies in that location. There's some law firms in there, so it just had other ingredients that we could begin
Perfect
to
environment.
nurture those relationships,
title.
begin to bring our approach
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
So
If you were to take a realtor and drop a pin on them, how many miles around that realtor's pin do you think they sell? Is it a 20-mile radius? Is it a 50-mile
I'd
radius?
say it's safely 10-mile radius, but I know if they get an opportunity for listing, they'll go 20.
Exactly.
But the problem is that the farther out you get in that, the less expertise they're going to have in that market.
True.
Because I think market knowledge is very important when you're selling. Now, what may end up happening is that you've got a buyer you're representing, and now you're going into those markets because they're trying to find a home north of Flower Mound, whatever it may be. So, I don't think there's much of a limit, although I think that they are conscious about how much I've got to drive in a day and take people around, et cetera, and what's my value of time.
Exactly.
To
It's
that
such a
side.
diverse market out there.
Yes.
Are you seeing any farm and ranch in that Flower Mound office yet?
We are beginning to see a little bit of that, and I'm working on a couple of potential developments that
Good.
have been approved by the city that I think we're going to have an opportunity to get
Sweet.
into to that side. So, and then we're growing the office. We go in and set in with our first team, and then we start working, and then Susan Podsednik is working the market with me. For business development side.
Well, then you got it
And
covered with that
we
lady.
got it covered, but we also have to look at your competition and recognize, what are your challenges to
Yeah, well-
entering a market. Part of that is who we are, and then understanding who is in the marketplace and respecting those that have been there much longer than we have, and knowing that you're probably not going to cut a piece of that business as much
Right.
as you look to the other players in the market, and/or what do you focus on? I mean, do you go try to focus and call on the largest real estate office in that market, or do you go more boutique like you are and look for smaller operations where they'll feel like they can relate to you because you're independent and small, and so are they.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we try to find those common grounds with
Well,
them.
there is definitely a lot of competition out there.
Yes.
So how do you strategize against that competition as a boutique company that's up against those large Republic titles
Yeah.
that are everywhere?
Republic, Capital, Chicago, you name them, they're kind of in the marketplace,
Yeah,
if you will.
yeah. So that's gotta be a challenge
I kind of
market-wise
I
and-
approach it the same way that I approached our initial market and the Plano, Collin County market, if you will. And that is, I have to look at it and say, okay, I can't be the biggest, and I really don't want to be.
Right.
So let's be the best. And then let's
Love that.
talk about what is the best of class? What are you doing that's unique? And there's really a couple of things. One, certainly, first thing is you got to have the escrow officers with the strength. The average tenure of my escrow officers are 25 years minimum.
Yeah.
So now I got a 25-year escrow officer competing against a 5-year. I mean, you just can't believe the difference in their transactional knowledge, historical understanding. They've seen those kind of transactions as they pop up, and they know how to navigate through any kind of issue. The second thing is the title commitment, not only the quality of the product, but the turn time. And I can beat my market in turn time easily by 3 days on a turn time on a title commitment.
Because of the experience level.
Because experience, and because I'm in a more manageable volume
Yeah.
than the large title company. They're compressed in with thousands of orders, and they're trying to get that order back out. And I'm not compressed in with 1,000 orders. We do about 500 orders a month, and I'm happy with that.
I mean, that makes a huge
And
difference.
so,
Yes.
yeah, and so our quality of our examination and the timeliness of our turn time, our examination is significantly
Yeah.
better
I
than
mean,
the
why
marketplace.
wouldn't an agent want to partner with a title company where you feel like you have got some control over your deal?
Right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And then, you ask, does experience really matter? Does it matter as a realtor? Does it matter as a lender? Does it matter as a title company?
Yes.
I would say yes across the board.
Yep.
And Mark, the older I get, the more I know that experience matters.
Well,
Just-
and you get into that place too, because, hell, I'm 70 years old,
Yeah.
and I go in to speak in an office, and I'm looking at a bunch of pups in front of me.
I know.
But what I'm giving them the message is, guys, look, I may be a lot older, and my teams have a lot of years more experience, but we're going to get your deal across the finish line because of that experience versus the younger escrow officer. You may relate to them, but when it gets down to being able to execute on the process and the closing, they don't have that same level of experience.
Yeah.
And then the final thing I overlay on that is Kerry Prysock, our general counsel. He's as good a transactional attorney as I've worked with.
Yeah.
He does our doc prep, and he's right next door to me, and we're underwriting transactions all day long that come to us, and we respond. Kerry sets the table for the deal. If we need to, we go to one of our 7 underwriters. We get approvals as necessary. We move to get it closed, but we move promptly through that process. There's not, I'll get back to you. There's not a couple of day delay.
You're not going to have that kind of hands-on
No,
control in a
no.
large underwriting environment.
And the same thing I tell people when they decide they're going to give us a try. I say, I'll tell you one thing will happen beyond everything else. When you put a contract into my company, I know it's in there.
Yeah.
Because I see a report every day, and not only am I going to know that you've given us the opportunity, but I'm going to reach out to you to thank you for that opportunity personally for myself, and I'm going to make sure that all of our service points are hitting for you to get to that process
I think
because
that's
that's my
huge-
opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's a huge opportunity
Right.
for anyone who's doing a deal to be able to have access to leadership.
Yes.
And not just feel like that you're a number being pushed by a clerk who really would rather not be there on that
Right.
day. I have met your team out in Flower Mound. If everybody could bring their deal to someone who cared that much, doesn't mean that you're error free, but I bet it means that you're a whole lot less errors.
Well, and they look at it like a puzzle, I
Yeah.
mean, that's because if it's just cookie cutter and it's the same closing every time and the same process
Yeah.
every time, that could get a little boring.
Yeah.
But that's not how files are. Each one has its own fingerprint.
Right.
And you've got to really navigate through and solve the puzzle part, but you've got to have the resources behind you to help you solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
So
on that note, what are those things that you bring to your clients that you would say are the most important areas of service that you can provide?
acknowledgement from the time they put the transaction in until we get it closed, the interaction my staff has and communication, as well as the rapport they establish with the buyer or seller to that side and taking that time to build that relationship with them, and then just the efficiency of the process. Because the last thing you really want to do as you move through that with the anxieties that happen in a transaction is have to keep going back because you forgot something, you didn't get the right documentation, whatever that is, that becomes a point of agitation.
Oh, yeah.
So let's do it right the first time.
So it's not just what happens at the closing table.
No.
99% of it is what happens before the
That's the
closing table.
easiest part, is the closing table.
Yeah.
Because everything's finally settled.
Yeah.
And that's the final thing, is that experience at the closing table,
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, creates the referral opportunity for those clients.
Mm-hmm.
Those clients being the realtor that brought us that deal.
Mm-hmm.
I want their client to be jazzed about the closing and have a
Mm-hmm.
great experience. Walk in. If they want champagne, we've got champagne. If they want a little snack, we've got that. Whatever they're interested in, make it a whole experience. Welcome them
Love that.
in with a little marquee saying welcome, and recognizing that. Just giving a little white glove treatment, I
And
think.
Mark, that's being lost today.
It is lost, yeah.
So I think that's huge. So
Yeah.
do you find that in providing these additional services, I know that Secured Title also provides training
Mm-hmm.
and even marketing services in some areas. Do you feel like that these things make a better realtor? What's your take on that as a leader for the company?
I think they could if they put it into application.
Mm-hmm.
You've trained a realtor community as well.
Mm-hmm.
They come in with great enthusiasm. You lay out whatever the information it is, but if they don't take and put it into practical use,
Mm-hmm.
then it just fades away very quickly. And then they have to make a commitment to their schedule to the training. When you schedule for something, that title company, I don't care if it's me or whoever is out there, has made a great deal of effort to schedule and get that set up. And that might be a presenter, it might be a lunch, whatever it is. Honor your reservation is
Yeah.
what I would say
Yeah.
to that side. And then allow for the follow-up from us on that to help you go to the next phase if you're learning new technology, if you're learning a phone app or whatever it is. Continue to take the first, it'd be like going through a class in school and then you don't study.
Right.
What are you going to retain?
Right.
Nothing, because you're not putting it to application.
But
So
you guys are providing those
we are.
services.
We've got
and
CE
they,
credits.
And they do make a difference.
They make a difference. But we try. So I try to move more away from, like you talked about earlier, how to use Facebook or Google or whatever. And I'm trying to focus in on more of the practicality of your practice as a
Exactly.
realtor.
How to run your business.
And what are the potential curbs out there that you need to make sure you don't trip over as you go through the real estate process. If I educate them on that side and give them an hour credit, then we've done something. We've made them smarter, and that gives them an advantage in the marketplace.
I think that's great. And I think, too, that there's something to say about not always chasing the new shiny ball.
Absolutely.
But sometimes not sometimes, but the basics of running your own business as an entrepreneur is to use the things that are the boring things, to learn how to be on consistent systems,
Right.
learn scheduling. These are the basics. They're not shiny, they're not glamorous,
Yep.
they're not sexy, but you've got to manage those and get those down.
Right.
And I think that the team that I've met over at Flower Mound, they are more than willing to get their hands in to help whenever a realtor
Right.
needs help.
Right.
But realtors need to also, we've talked about this 100 times in our shows, cowboy up. They got to cowboy up. They got to get involved in their own business. They
Yeah.
got to get involved. And I love how you always used to say forensic. So, you've got the forensic team, but we've got to get our realtors to start looking inside and underneath those things
Right.
as well, so that you are able to do your job for them.
Yeah, because they're more dependent on us for things that they really should not be dependent on for
Yeah.
us. They should be
Yeah.
doing that on their own,
Yeah.
if you will, to that side.
Because
So,
there's a lot of risks in real estate.
there's a huge amount, and that risk is growing substantially.
Yeah. So, what is the greatest risk that you have come across this year?
The largest risk that will continue to be compounded is mortgage fraud.
Really?
So that's in the form of, that can be seller fraud as well. That is fraud in the wiring side and fraud in the payoff side. And I even kind of went back and reviewed some of the things. The average title insurance claim for fraud or forgery is $143,000 claim paid out on a transaction with either one. So that represents about a fourth of all claims paid in the industry nationwide. That number has gone from 2015 at about 8 million to almost 500 million in 2025 and growing. So the sophistication of the fraudster, if you will, is growing at a substantial pace, and they're getting smarter and smarter, and they know how to penetrate into that. So
Is this cyber fraud?
Yes, it's cyber
So is
fraud.
it because of our technology that we've opened the doors to this kind of thing?
Well,
or-
it's not our technology, it's that they have figured out how to penetrate not so much into the title company side, but into the buyer or seller side.
Wow.
And that's where the communication, now all of a sudden the buyer or seller thinks they're communicating with the title company and they're not. And that's where all of a sudden they're wiring their money in and it's not going to the title company, it's going to somewhere else. Or you got the other side where they penetrated in and now the title company receives some notification from them and they think it's from buyer or seller and it's not. And then they, like the seller saying, hey, I want you to go ahead and wire it to this bank instead of this bank. But you don't do that with any written, you do that with a number of different stop gaps, if you will. But what happens is when that occurs and that title company then wires out that 150 grand and using that as a number, then it's gone. So how are you going to replace that?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to tell the agents is they make a really poor assumption. The assumption is that all title companies are created equal, and they're not.
No.
And they're not protected equally. And we have the three things I would tell them to look for is E&O, ask for E&O insurance, ask for a list of their title insurance underwriters to verify who they're representing and who would be the best to select. And the third one would be to have a cybercrime policy or some third party. Our third party we have is called Certified. They protect us up to $5 million per transaction.
And
that
so
we
this is
close.
what your secured title offers to mitigate that risk.
Yes, yeah.
That's great.
So all of that is secured, no pun intended, but it's all in a way that it protects all these different levels of communication. That includes verifications as well, and that can be verification domestically as well as internationally. So we really think this is going to be a significant benefit for us in 2026
Yeah.
on not just the protection for our clients, but the teaching people about how to make the determination, because you don't want to be a buyer and put yourself into a title company that does not have the capability in the
No,
event they get
could,
hit.
who could recover from that?
They can't.
Unless you're a millionaire.
They can't. Yeah, they
You know,
can't. They don't
people
have
like
that kind
me-
of. They don't have that kind of cash to draw
No
on
way.
to that side. So anyhow, and you know, only about a third of the title companies out there spend more than $1,000 a year for cyber protection.
Wow.
And then there's another 20% that spends zero. So that, just take the broad brush of the market and say 20% of the title companies out here have no protection at
Yeah,
all.
and if you don't think that
for
those
fraud.
cyber hackers don't know that,
They know it. Yeah, they know.
their
they're-
job is to be forensic.
Yes, yeah.
To find out
they're
where
after how to,
the holes
yeah,
are, right?
Yeah. So, and we really vetted Certified, and they are endorsed by 5 of the top underwriters as well. And they, over last year, protected almost 1 million transactions. And listen to this, 65% of customers that had at least one high-risk transaction identified as suspected fraud. That didn't mean they got hit, but they suspected because they got some type of communication in the closing process that was unusual to that side, and that resulting
What was the
savings.
statistic again?
It
One out of
was
how many?
65%.
Oh.
That was about almost $1.5 billion of potential loss mitigated by their technology.
Wow, well, worth
So,
every dime.
Worth every dime of it. So we're really excited about having that in our bailiwick, if you will.
So that's going to be available in every office,
Yes.
whether you're in Flower Mound or whether you're in Plano.
It'll be under every one of my offices and my fee attorneys as well, because that's, you know, there's really kind of 3 vehicles out there: the fee attorney, which I have, the direct operations, which can be agent and underwriter, and then just the direct underwriter, if you will. But even in any one of those scenarios, they all have fee attorneys, but they really don't monitor their capital capability to that side. So my fee attorneys will have this product, so they're going to be protected, and their clients are going to be protected when they close with Secured Title of Texas. So I'm really
Fantastic.
excited about that. So, and then we've added up, we're adding new technology. We're adding a new software application called Settler, which is a cloud-based, high-tech, high-touch. We're going to it's going to improve our closing process. It's going to improve our communication to the client by both email and text message out of the file. And then we're moving into a new banking relationship, and we're going to be able to wire up till 6 p.m.
Fabulous.
Coming into 2026. The cutoff, general cutoff in our industry is 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So we're going to extend out an hour. When you get in a closing in the afternoon, the biggest panic you have is, can I fund it?
Exactly.
You know, and of course they're going to set it at 2:00 on a Friday afternoon,
Right.
Because they got to move, the next
So
morning.
that one extra
So
hour.
that one extra hour is, that gives us some
Gonna be huge.
substantial breathing room.
Okay, now here's kind of a consumer question,
Yeah.
but do I have to pay extra for all these services?
No. Nope.
That's just what I get
Nope.
when I come
Nope,
to
it's
Secured
covered. I
Title.
consider those things to be covered as part of our escrow fee. So those are things that I think.
That's your level of
That's
service
our
you
levels of
provide.
service.
I love that.
And we've negotiated, because of our size, we've negotiated a very reasonable cost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a per file cost to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll mitigate that all day long with, she's giving us 2 minutes.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's jump over then. I mean, Secured Title is secure, folks. That is just awesome,
Yep.
because today, in today's tech world, it is scary out there. So
It
to
is.
know that you've got all these extra layers is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I know that you have something to do with making
Well, and what we want
sure
to do
that's
is
all
we want
done.
the market to give us a chance in the
Yeah.
flower mound. We're new in there.
Yeah.
You're used and custom to. Just hear us.
Yeah.
Come in, visit us. Come see our location and talk to us, and let us talk to you about the things that we think are important coming into 2026,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is going to be a really good year. It's going to be much improved from 25. I think our rates will soften. I think there's going to be some rollout of affordability plans.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some things that are about to roll that we'll find out about in this month. They're going to be very impactful. What was it? 4 years ago, the first time home buyer was the average age of 32. Now the average age is 40. So we've got to get back and
Poor
bring.
moms and dads.
Yeah, we got to bring that younger market back in
Yeah.
to that side. So anyhow, I think 2026.
You think that's going to happen in 2026?
Yes, I'm very convinced it is in
Okay.
terms of the overall plan.
So you're optimistic?
I'm extremely optimistic, yeah. And so we're going to focus in, grow Flower Mound organically, and then we'll look for the next opportunity. But if we don't see it in 12 months, we're good where we are, and we'll do the very best we can for our
Well,
clients.
and I know that there's going to be events that we're going to be setting up and
Yes.
doing out in Flower Mound.
Yep.
So realtors, when you get that e-blast, when you get that call from someone from Secured Title or from someone like me, put it on your calendar to come check these guys out. Geneva and Jackie
Yeah.
are great. They're veterans of
They are
this
veterans.
business. So
Yep.
you don't have to worry about going and putting your big deal into the hands of someone who doesn't know what they're
Yep.
doing.
We can
So,
handle it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Well,
Awesome.
this is
Thank
great. I'm
you. Yeah.
excited. Flower Mound is there. All your other offices, you're doing great. All is well.
Been a good year. We've been
Christmas
blessed.
is
Yeah.
next. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That's Marc Miller, my wonderful friend, Secured Title of Texas. Be sure that you keep your ears tuned to what they are doing in Flower Mound in 2026.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.